It's Whissel time. Your host, Kyle Whissel.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The co-host here is alone. Kyle is en route, guys, but he will be here shortly and joining the show here. But who I do have in studio, this is Jason Hall, Team Home Loans, a branch of Synergy One Lending, the co-host here for over 4 years with Kyle Whissel on Whissel Weekends. And in studio is one of his, you're no longer young, but I want to say young agent, right, Keith? I know it's kind of funny, right?
You might not want to say young agent, but a newer agent?
Not even
a newer agent.
It's already been a year, right?
It has been a year already.
It's already been a year, but so you've been on the team, and that's Keith Bryan with Whissel Realty. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Awesome. Hey, it's great to be here. And for correction, it's actually been 2 years since I've been in the business, but I come from a background of construction and title insurance. But in 2 years here in real estate, a year with Whissel Realty, it's been a real joy, real blessing working with Jason, Kyle, and the whole Whissel team. And what an opportunity it is today to invite my good friend Phil Lindblom from Carlsbad.
All right, so Phil, how do you pronounce that last name?
It's Lindblom.
Bloom.
Yeah, I've only known him for 10 years. He's good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to mess it up as well. All right. So it's not the easiest. Lindblom.
Correct.
Bloom.
Yeah.
Like
All right.
a flower blooms.
And Phil, what do you do for a living?
I'm one of the owners of Firm Solutions Insurance Services in North County.
Okay.
I have about 26 years experience in the insurance industry and came to share a little bit and answer some questions and stuff like that. I might be I'm not young, so I hope I don't get the term mature in my description, but I guess I'm
You might
right
be the
along
one
there.
guy older than me, Phil, finally on the show.
Well, I feel like it.
You know, but welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. All right, guys. So what's been going on? You always know I'm a San Diego guy. San Diego native, born and raised here in San Diego. Used to love the Chargers like Todd. And I like the Charger players. Nothing against Charger players. I just cannot root for a ownership team that pulled away the Chargers. But I did hear in the news today or this week that Alex Spanos, who bought the team in 1984, passed this week. His wife did a few months ago, and now he's passed. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Spanos family and you know the Chargers. I do wish the family best, but I'm always going to be a little burdened because of them pulling away, you know, my Chargers. I mean, they've been here, or they were here longer than I was born.
Well, Alex was a good owner. We liked Alex, and a lot of people said if he was in his mental states or okay, that he wouldn't have let the team move.
Good point.
So,
And that's Todd, our producer in the box there, but that's a great point. But it's hard. We can't be Charger fans anymore, right, Todd?
No, it's not. I actually was rooting for the Raiders this last weekend, my friend's like, man, what world are we living in when Todd's rooting for the Raiders?
Right. I watch Red Zone, and every time they click onto a Charger game, especially up there in L.A. or wherever they play, there's always more opposing fans. I mean, it's clear. There's always. And they try not to even show it's so bad. You know, it's a bad look for the NFL. It's a bad look on the Chargers. But, yeah, that Raider game, I bet it was 90% Raider fans. The Frisco game had at least 75, 80% the week before.
And that really stood out because they were all in red. You know, it stands out a little bit even more.
Yeah.
So, and then it was interesting in the news with Drew Brees getting the record for, was it the most touchdowns?
Most passing yards. So he's now number one in passing yards. He's number 3 in touchdown passes. They believe he's got a chance. He needs about 39 to 40 more touchdowns to pass Peyton Manning for the total touchdown record, but Brady's right behind him as well.
Yeah, well, they kept mentioning when they were giving the history of Brees, they said, he started playing for the then San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. Well, everybody on media still calls the Chargers San Diego Chargers. It happens so often.
Very often.
You tune in, right, Phil? I mean, any radio show, TV show, anything you're watching, even inside the NFL, they always slip and go the San Diego Chargers because it was 50-plus years. It's always going to be known.
Well, Gruden did it going into halftime when they went to interview him. And he goes,
really?
well, the San Diego, the L.A. Chargers are just firing on all cylinders.
I wonder if he meant to do that. That's you never know with Gruden, right?
Yeah, you can tell by when you're looking at his face, he's got that sly smile on his face.
Does.
You don't know if it's
You
intentional
don't know,
or not. Yeah.
Right? He's kind of got that.
Yeah.
Which made him a great, announcer on what was ESPN because they did the Monday Night Football when they switched over. But but here's the big thing that happened this past weekend: San Diego State, right? I mean, that last Saturday, we do tape this on Wednesday, so I'm actually going to be at the Air Force game. So San Diego State played Air Force last night. If you're listening to us right now on the show, however you're listening to us Facebook Live, it's still Wednesday. But San Diego State went into Boise, guys, and beat Boise State.
On the blue turf.
On the blue turf, we were underdogs, and I had to watch it from my phone, and it starts off, we're 83% underdog. They have a chance. They have an 83% chance of winning the game, the other team.
Yes.
And then that starts to slide as the game goes. So it was nice to watch that. And then I finally clicked on the live spot, watched the last 5 minutes to see the San Diego State Aztecs upset Boise in Boise. What an amazing game. So we've got Air Force coming up Friday. If you're just now listening on the radio, you probably know the outscore of that game because it just happened last night. But again, that's part of what happens when we tape a few days early. So that's what's been going on in San Diego. But just finally joining us in the house, the host, Kyle Whissel. What's going on, Kyle?
How about your Los Angeles Chargers?
We just talked about it. You missed that, man.
They're your Chargers. They're doing good, Jason.
Don't even go there. But we just talked about Spanos. Mr. Spanos passed away this week. So, yeah, we just talked about that. So we can move on from the Chargers.
You don't want to talk about the Chargers-Buffalo game at all?
Oh, is that coming up, right?
No, it already happened. Chargers cream Buffalo like they do every single time.
I'm not even paying attention anymore.
One of the cornerbacks retired during halftime. One of the cornerbacks on Buffalo.
Oh, that's right. I did hear that. I didn't know it was the Charger game.
How do you literally quit halfway through a game?
And don't even tell me about it.
He couldn't even finish the damn game.
He just packed up his stuff and left, right? Like went in the locker room at halftime. Everybody runs out. They're like, hey, where's the cornerback? And he's gone.
That Rivers is good.
Rivers, he sent him right down the river.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what else has been going on, Kyle?
I mean, there's this little Supreme Court thing that's kind of a big deal. You're going to go there?
You're the one that just brought that up. Well,
you have to go there
Here's
now.
what I know. We got 3 Christian conservatives in here, and Phil, Keith, and myself, and I guess Todd in the box. I'm pretty confident.
I want to bring it up.
I'm pretty confident that at least 4 of us are, excited that's happened. But I do understand the other side. I have a lot of family. My in-laws are liberal. We were out at their house last weekend. We couldn't even talk about it. My wife called me as I'm driving out, like, you can't even mention it. We all got in a big old fight last night at dinner. Like, because to them, this is like the end of their era. They've had control of the Supreme Court for many years. And, they really feel like everything's going to change in their life. And I don't think there'll be that much change. But right now, at least for the next month, the Republicans are in charge of the president, the Senate, the House, and now the Supreme Court for the first time maybe ever, right? So, I mean, it's, very
better
interesting.
get everything passed now while they can, right? You got 3 weeks to get it all done.
You get 3 weeks. However, it does seem like the conservative is excited. We're seeing a lot of excitement, I know on Fox News, but again, that's tilted right.
Sure.
However, people are out talking. I think we might be able to hold on to the Senate and the House. And if that happens, we'll see what President Trump does the next 2 years. I mean, we talked about it just 2 or 3 years ago. It was a joke that Trump was running. And here he is, the president. Stocks all-time highs, although it's been a tough week in the stock market. Still all-time highs, at least on Monday or Tuesday. Yep. Economy's doing well. Taxes are down. The lowest unemployment we've seen ever. And yet my liberal family and friends are upset. And they're riding certain streets around this, around this wonderful country. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see what happens if they maintain control, how the next 2 years go, because then it'll be very, very interesting in 2020.
It's funny to watch how they're putting money into certain cities where there are these races that really don't matter, these small, insignificant areas, but both parties are pouring millions of dollars in and supporting these candidates that nobody's ever heard of before. Because the races that are close, like the ones
They're
that
so
are
tight.
like done deals, they don't even care about. They don't waste any time. Like they just throw those out. But the ones that were close last time around, there's millions and millions of dollars being put behind guys that nobody's ever heard of. And it's funny to watch these battles happen.
Yeah, it's
these little battleground.
It's
communities.
interesting. And then Trump, he gets out there, flies around, and he is one of those guys that people enjoy going into his rallies. There's a lot of people that come out. And I know the people on the left just think, everybody that supports him is, just crazy and stupid. And I don't agree with everything he does. And I would think most conservative, at least Christian conservatives I know, don't agree with everything he says. But he was a better alternative, for us. We had Hillary or him. It was no-brainer for us. But, I wish he tweeted a little bit less. I wish he didn't act like me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like
Well, she had a little bit of a filter.
a little bit of a filter.
Yeah. I don't
and-
think he earned any female votes through what's happened over these last couple weeks. I don't think he's done himself any favors.
Yeah, there's some people, he told it how it is. Like, she somehow remembered one beer, but she didn't remember anything else. It's him, one beer, nothing else.
Yeah.
And, I was kind of joking about that a few days earlier, and then he drops all that at one of the rallies, and it just wasn't presidential, right? It wasn't the nicest thing to do. It definitely, upset the left. I'm sure upset Dr. Ford. But he's an interesting character. I mean, the one thing, that's no matter what, he's interesting.
Yeah, when you look at the president of the United States and you look at everything that he's done and everything he's accomplished, all the things you just mentioned, and then we have that lack of a filter that diminishes all the good that is being done. It's hard to take sometimes. I'm with you. I don't necessarily always agree, but when you look at the bigger picture, I'm not necessarily disappointed either.
Right. Now, what do you think, Keith?
It's an interesting situation in our country to where the point that it's come that there's a lot that's just presumed guilty until proven innocent, and without given an opportunity to like Kavanaugh and others in politics to be proven guilty. I think it's an unfortunate situation in our country that people just kind of jump on the bandwagon and they're in support of convicting someone before actually going to trial and being found guilty.
Right. And the reason, of course, is they just do not want, the Republicans to take control of the Supreme Court. More importantly, they don't want anybody that Trump is going to put up there. So no matter what, they're going to, you could tell them the guy killed me and I came back to life, and they would believe anybody, guy or gal, right? They just, they were going to do anything to stop Trump getting Kavanaugh through. It didn't work, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if they do take control. If they win the Senate and the House, I mean, they're already talking impeaching both the president, Kavanaugh. I mean, it'll be interesting politics, the next couple of years if that does happen. We're getting ready to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Phil more about insurance. And Phil, what your company insures. Do you guys insure everything? What's going on? Again, you're listening to AM 1170, The Answer, and this is Whissel Weekends. We'll be right back.